In my world, I wish there was a way that I had the magic answer to engage all of these high school kids that maybe choose to come here as their last resort. And we do lots of engagement here, but if we could just show them, just stick it out with the support that we have here, you can make it, you can do it, you will get your high school diploma, and then, you can do what you need to do after you get that in your hand. I wish I had that magic formula. We're getting better at it.
Awesome.
But that's what I personally would like to fix, and that would be fantastic.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guests today are Erin Fatafehi and Rekha Manakkal. They are both directors of special education services at Ohio Connections Academy, and the office is in Columbus, Ohio. But as we know, with a virtual school, you guys are all over the place, right? So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was talking to Erin and Rekha before. I have a personal connection. At one point back in my career, in my 30-year career, I actually worked a little bit at Ohio Connections Academy and at Michigan Connections Academy. So it was kind of a full circle moment for me. So thank you so much for what you do and for the students that you serve, because I know it's a tough job.
That's so.
Yeah.
Or we wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. And that's it. That's it exactly, right? It's not for the faint of heart, but you work hard. So tell me a little bit, and you guys can, whoever wants to go first or however you want to do it. Tell us the what's going on with you guys in special education, and what are some of your wins and maybe some of your challenges.
I mean, I guess I can go first, and then Erin can go next. So I think what's going well for our school is we have a place for families who might not have felt where they live and what school district that their student would be normally attending, that they can come here and we can give them an ear, listen to their needs, and work together to meet the needs of their student. We take a lot of pride in doing that. K to 12. We do serve K to 12. And as far as challenges, I think we are always, Erin and I, our school, we're always trying to figure out the best ways to do what I just said, to meet their needs. It's not perfect. We don't have everything neatly boxed in one, beautiful product that is just part of our system. But we use what resources we have to try to meet the needs of our students. So, Erin, I don't know if there's anything else you want to say.
Well, I think that's greatly stated. I think right now, just for perspective purposes, we do service students all throughout the state of Ohio. Our special education population is sitting today at 815 students who are on IEPs. Across all the categories. So we do have many students with a variety of needs. So I think this school of choice, because that it is, right? It is a public school, but it's a school of choice. And families choose this learning environment for various reasons. We've certainly seen an increase, I think, over the last several years of students with, anxiety-related disabilities, maybe bullying, and again, back to what Rekha said initially as well. So we have to always be aware of what our students' needs are. And I think the one thing that makes us maybe special, in my opinion, and I, of course, have a biased opinion, but our teachers are really involved. I think a lot of our families find the communication from the schools almost shockingly overwhelming, maybe at the very beginning. They don't maybe realize the level of involvement that our teachers have, our counselors have, not only our special education teachers, but our general education
too.
teachers.
Yeah.
So everybody is involved, and we really have a lot of almost like that wraparound services in some ways for our students. So we're very well aware of what's going on with them at home and trying to find ways to help parents and learning coaches support their students while they're with them every day, because we don't physically see them all day long every day. as well. So there's a lot going on and any given.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and I apologize. Usually, when I start the podcast, I give you an opportunity. I know so much about it that I skipped over it. And I would like to step back and give our listeners, tell them what is Ohio Connections Academy. And, I guess a little bit about how did you come to this role? These are the first two questions that I always ask. And because I know I just like, and that's my failing. So I apologize for doing that. But if you could just give our listeners a little bit about how you guys got to where you are and a little about what Connections Academy is so that those that don't know understand. You've already touched on it, Erin, and I apologize that I'm doing it backwards, but I realized as you were talking, I was like, boy, that was not good.
Yeah, so Ohio Connections Academy, sorry, it's a K to 12 virtual public online school.
Mhm.
So it is unique in the sense that our district is the state of Ohio. So families can literally live anywhere within Ohio borders and choose this school. And everything is done online. Our entire curriculum, our services in the special ed world, they're all delivered virtually. And then, of course, you didn't ask this, but if students need some face-to-face services, we of course have those options, but we
Sure.
always default to virtual first.
Right.
K to 12, if I didn't say that
You
already.
did. That's
Um,
great.
and then as far as myself, I taught in a brick and mortar setting for 4 years, and then just took a break from education when I had my son. And then I was looking to get back into teaching again after he got to a certain age. And my neighbor actually told me about Ohio Connections Academy. I didn't seek it out, I didn't know anything about it, but it sounded pretty cool. So when I went in for the interview and just understood, wow, there's a lot of potential here, a new paradigm at that point.
Yeah.
I've been here over 20 years now. Yeah, but it was really kind of on the cutting edge there.
Yeah.
I was excited to join that and try to make an impact, but I wasn't a director of special education at that time. I went in as a special ed teacher, also working with at-risk kids at that time, but that's how I got here. And
Awesome.
to you, Erin.
Yeah, and similarly, I taught in the brick and mortar setting as well and was a special education director in Arizona prior to coming back to my home state of Ohio. And as I was looking for, positions, came across Ohio Connections Academy, and I thought, what is this virtual school all about? And it was just really intriguing. I had spent a lot of time in the classroom and was really ready for a different challenge. Very impressed by my interview and what I learned about the school. When I first started, I had the opportunity to teach for a semester before becoming the assistant special education director at the time. And then the following year was able to move up to being director, and then Rekha joined me. So we've been working together for 16 years now.
Wow.
Yes. So we have been here for a while. I did step away for a couple years and joined our parent company at Pearson. Um,
Hmm.
and so I was able to support the special education directors in a variety of schools across the United States. So that was exciting. But I really did miss working with families, working directly with teachers. And so I got to come back home, I'd like to say, and join Rekha back on our team. So a lot had changed. We'd grown tremendously, just because I think the interest of many families, had spiked during that time, um, over COVID
I
times
was
as
just gonna
well.
say, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you that question. I am definitely so you guys have been doing this for 16 to 20 years. Amazing. People didn't even realize before COVID. I mean, I've been a teletherapist. I've been doing online therapy since 2011. So tell our listeners, like, what have you seen over that time? How has virtual education, and especially special education, because that's where your expertise is, how have you seen it grow and modify, if it is at all, over those years? And what things have made it better? Because I know that what we're doing today is always better than what we were doing 20 years ago, right?
I think what COVID did, from my opinion, is it gave families an opportunity to see what distance learning or virtual learning was all about.
Mhm.
And that made more awareness
Right.
out there for schools. And obviously, some schools did it better than others. No blame there.
Right, of course.
But for those families that really like, wow, I now am a little more invested in what my student is doing, right? Because when you send them to brick and mortar, you don't really know. And they come home from school, not all of your kids are chatty and tell you every single thing
Right, right.
that happened. But when you're at home, you get to see what's going on and you get to be a part of that learning. So because of that, we definitely saw enrollment rise.
Increase, yeah.
Yeah. Each year, not
Yeah,
just Ed, I'm just saying in general, our
right.
enrollment.
Mhm.
And I think the beauty of that though, it gave then our school a chance like, wow, we have all these different types of learners here. It made our school self-reflect more and continually change processes or what is it that we need here? How do we advocate to get those things? And um, Aaron and I don't work on an island just by
Yeah,
ourselves.
exactly.
Yeah, we have a fantastic administrative team that listens to all the different departments, elementary school, middle school, high school, counselors, and it gave us a chance then to always collaborate and say, this is what we're seeing. Is there a way to do this? And I think that really opened some doors of communication. And over those years, we have really improved in our way to individualize our instruction. And sometimes that takes changes to our learning management system. Keep in mind that
Mhm.
was built before I came on board. And I think I
Right.
came on board the second year this school was actually open. So it's changed
Wow.
drastically. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's I heard so many stories, and Lighthouse was established in 2018, so we were already operating as a company, and exactly, it was one of those things where it was like we tried very hard to just help. It's like all of a sudden we were the experts. I've been a speech therapist for 30 years, but I have been a teletherapist at that time for 9 years. So helping schools to understand how you can do virtual, how kids can learn virtually. And I love talking, the schools like to talk about learning loss and what was lost during COVID. And I was like, I've said this many times, but I was like, children didn't stop learning during COVID. They didn't stop learning. They just stopped learning what we wanted them to learn necessarily. It's like they're still going to learn whether we're teaching them or not. It's just a matter of, are they going to learn the things that we think as professionals and educators that they should learn. So, and that's the thing I love about virtual services is that you can have access to so many different teachers, so many different professionals that not a small district or even a big district might not have access to, because you have that distance learning. And I know schools have started to address distance learning in that, but I think it's just a really amazing thing how COVID just pushed. If there's a great thing that came out of COVID, and I'll stop talking in a minute because I get going, because I love what I do. I absolutely love, and I love virtual services. Is it shoved us forward? It helped to move virtual education and virtual services into the spotlight in a way that never would have happened and would have taken probably 5-10 years longer had COVID not happened.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think you're right. And I know I wasn't here during that big transition period, right in the heat of that COVID period, but I do know, and Rekha, you might be able to better speak on it, but I do know that Ohio Connections Academy, we reached out, or other districts reached out to us to say,
Right.
do you have any tips and any guidance? Just because, the teachers did the best they could with what they had. I know my daughter was in school at the time, so she did shift to virtual learning for a school that wasn't set up to be that way, right? The service delivery, and the teachers did a fantastic job, because I was listening, when she was in
Mhm.
a Zoom call in first grade, so it was kind of exciting to see how she was learning and engaging with her teachers. But I do know that schools reached out. I do know that Ohio Connections Academy reached out to offer sessions to talk with educators about some tips and strategies and how we got students to engage online and in Zoom, and using, their camera and the chat features that you have, within the virtual classroom, how to incorporate resources that they were already using in their classroom
Mhm.
and that
Mhm.
they could use online as well. So
Right.
I think that was kind of exciting. And again, back to Rika's point before about, just opening up educators' eyes to what this learning platform actually looked like, and parents as well. And some just they have to choose what learning environment they feel is best for their own child, whether it's
Mhm.
IEP or not, right?
Right.
And
Right.
that.
Yeah. And I think that's such an incredible point, Aaron, because parents are the first and always will be the primary teacher for their child. I'm a Christian. God gave them that child in my eyes, So you are the decision maker as a parent to decide where your child's going to go. So let's go down that path just a little bit. So when a parent is considering the virtual schools that are out there, or even just going into virtual schools, what kind of advice, especially, I mean, let's specifically talk about special education students. What kinds of questions and what kinds of things should they be considering? Because you guys aren't the only, you aren't the only show out there, right? We know that. But what kinds of things should they look for, and what kinds of things make Ohio Connection stand out?
When I talk to families, I definitely want to know, first of all, what grade band their student is that they're considering to enroll: elementary, middle school, or high school. Because dependent upon that solely, there's a level of involvement that the learning coach, that's what
Mm,
we call the person at home, doesn't always have to be the parent, what we call that learning coach, um, has to have in order to form that partnership with our school, so all of us together can learn about their student and work to meet their needs. So once they give me that information, um, find out if they have that time or somebody that will be able to assist their student, and then we talk a little bit about what the setup is here, because the delivery of instruction is just like what we're doing. We're
right.
talking through a computer and then a video, and then oftentimes we have to get that parent to understand or think about, is this appropriate for the way their student learn? Are they going to be able to look at their parent as I don't want to call them a teacher, but somebody different than a parent, somebody that's they have to listen to and get online, and are they going to be able to listen for the amount of time that they need to in order to get the instruction or the support that they need to make this environment work. On the flip side, we make a very good point, whether it's me or anybody else, to let them know, if your student has special needs here, you will have not just the support of your special education teacher, you'll have the support of the general education teacher, and you'll have the support of any other related service professional. And when a parent actually enrolls and they see that, they're just amazed, because often they don't get that level of communication. It's very difficult to, anyways, in a brick and mortar setting. So they understand for the first time what a team approach is, and
Hmm.
they get listened to. Like,
Yeah.
we aren't just accessible after 4 or
Hmm.
before school starts. We are accessible pretty much all day long, 8 to 4, and during the day. So we are there to listen to them, answer their questions, and guide them. So
Yeah.
that's what I I think is the conversations I have with.
One thing I often hear from school leaders is, I just want
a partner who puts students first. At Lighthouse Therapy, that's exactly what we do. We don't have outside investors and we don't answer to shareholders. Instead, we answer to school leaders like you, those listening to this podcast. Whether you're wanting virtual, hybrid, or in-person therapy, our systems are designed to make your life easier and your team stronger. We are a therapy company run by therapists for the betterment of students. Visit lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together to learn how we can help you support your students this year. One of the things when I moved from a brick and mortar setting to a virtual setting as myself as an SLP, I'll be honest, I was intimidated by parents. I was like, I have to talk to the parents. And then it didn't take very long, but a switch flipped in my brain and went, I get to talk to the parents. I get to have access to the person that's going to follow up on absolutely everything I do. And that is one of the most incredibly supportive things about virtual services is that, when I'm calling or when I'm setting up services, I'm talking to the parent. And so then I get to specifically say, okay, what makes your child tick? What kinds of things can I do to help hook your child to get them to want to be in therapy? What kinds of things do they love? And as a speech therapist, I can make anything a language lesson. So, it's a little bit easier, but it's just such a privilege to be able to step up into that situation and walk alongside parents because they care about their kids, and they not that others don't. I don't want anybody to call me and say, hey, you're saying that nobody else cares. That's not the truth. But it's just a special relationship that you get when you do this.
Yeah, I completely agree. I felt coming from a brick and mortar setting that when I started to work with students online, I did feel like I knew their families and I knew the students better than I was able to. Not
Right.
that, I didn't want to, or not that the
Right.
families
No.
didn't want to, have that partnership with us there, but I just felt like the way that the platform is structured and the online setting is set up is we did have that constant communication. We need that.
Yeah.
And that learning coach is that piece of the puzzle that I always say in at least our IEP meetings. I say, that learning coach is the piece of the puzzle that makes this learning environment successful. Because if the student has that support at home, and it's not to be the teacher, but it is to help make sure the student is where they need to be when they need to be there. So they have, a daily planner that they follow in terms of their day-to-day lessons. But they also have what we call live lessons that are like this, where the teacher is providing the direct instruction, both general education and our small group intervention sessions for their IEP services, including related services. So I always explained that. And then the other thing that I like to say is that level of support that the learning coach needs to provide is the level of support that their child needs. So it
Mhm.
could vary from, checking in to once or twice a day to sitting with the student throughout the day to help keep them on task and keep them on track. So,
Right. And I think part of what we're saying here too is just opportunity, because the opportunity we get more opportunity as a virtual therapist or as a virtual teacher because we're directly interacting. So it opens up those opportunities more for us to be able to talk to the parents and talk to and have that. So it's not, they aren't just coming to school for the IEP meeting and then we're sending notes home, or we make a phone call once in a while if there's a situation. As an SLP, sending home homework in a backpack and never to be seen again, those kinds of things don't always give us that opportunity. And I think that's a big part of it is people will take that opportunity and capitalize on it to have an incredible educational experience for their child. So yeah, definitely. So I'm a parent and I'm scared that I can't be a learning coach. What do you say to them? I'm not smart enough. I'm not a teacher. I don't know if I can do this. It's very intimidating. I'm scared that I remember when I started homeschooling my kids, and I'm an SLP. I was like, what if I can't teach them to read?
I mean, I think we really want them to know it is not an I.
Mhm. That's
Absolutely.
great. Great answer. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they are exactly what Aaron said. We need your level of support to hopefully get them where they need to be, teach them how to maybe use the planner. It's a visual planner,
Mhm.
um, and let us do the rest over here. And we will help provide the instruction that's needed, us and the gen ed, of course. And then along that way, while the parent is there listening or whatnot, they learn a lot. They see what their student
Mhm.
responds to, what their student doesn't respond to, or what their student knows or doesn't know. And then we can then open up that conversation. Hey, here's one simple thing you can do at home if you want until we meet again. So it gives them something concrete also that they can uh, use and reinforce at home. And we absolutely tell them you're not the teacher. So we try to really make that um, conversation something that they understand that we're a partner. So
Right. Yeah. So, I wanna just go down one other path, because we're quickly running out of time. I could talk to you guys for 2 hours, I swear. But let's talk about the teachers. So, when COVID happened, you had obviously had an influx of students. I'm assuming also on the flip side of that, some teachers who never thought that because I've seen this with therapists, definitely all of a sudden therapists went, I never thought that I would like virtual services. I want to do that. And I have in my career and in Lighthouse's career, we saw therapists that were and we mentor and we definitely take care of our therapists because that's our mission. But it is something that you can do this and they never thought they could. So I'm curious if I'm assuming, and I don't want to assume, but you guys, I'd like for you to like talk about what did you see when it comes to that, and how has that benefited Connections Academy?
Well, I would say, we do have a lot of teachers, and when we're interviewing that may not have had virtual experience, and that is absolutely okay. We welcome that because
Hmm.
what is a challenge, but also I think really fun for some educators is to figure out, okay, here's what I did really, really well in my brick and mortar setting. This was my strength. Now, how can I do that here? Not can I do that here, but
Yeah.
how can I do that here? And they can,
Hmm. Yeah,
and
because
they
it's a
love it.
modality. It's not a yeah, and I've said that before. I'm sorry, I didn't
Yes.
interrupt you, but
No, it's
that's
okay.
exactly the point. And when I talk to tons of schools because we are a contract company and we contract with schools. That's what we do. But I always tell them, I'm like, you have to understand that speech therapy or education is education. Speech therapy is speech therapy. Yes, there are very specific times where you need to be in front of that child. I would never be able to do parallel play on the floor with an autistic child who needs parallel play in this setting. That is one of the things that I will never be able to do. But they are so few and so far between, and so many amazing ways that you can. And it is still speech therapy. It is still education. So I'm sorry, I mean to interrupt, but I was just like, it's so true.
No, that's exactly right. And I think that that's exciting. We've had a lot of teachers who have come from brick and mortar. There's a learning curve, of course there
Yes,
is,
of
right?
course, right.
We provide a lot of training for our new teachers that come on board. We will connect them, with a veteran virtual teacher as well to, allow them the opportunity to share their resources and what works for them. And the same as students, right? They each learn differently. So do our teachers, and
Right.
so they're able to sort of experiment with what works best for their style of teaching in this setting. So I think that that's pretty exciting. But it goes hand in hand with training and support, and it's ongoing. It's
Hmm.
we're constantly, like Reka shared earlier as well. We are always reflecting at the end of each school year, and what worked well this year, and what could we improve on for next school year, and brainstorming with our teachers because we really want them to be part of that discussion. Their hands are in the pot, right? They're there every day. And so we want them to be making those decisions and having that collaboration together. So,
Absolutely. Fabulous. So, one of the things that schools, and you guys are 190 one for me, interviews that I've done, I've done a lot of these, is there aren't enough teachers. There aren't enough special education teachers. Is that something that you guys are experiencing as well?
Think
Staffing?
it's been ebbing and flowing. I think
Okay.
there early on, it was definitely a little more of a struggle. Um, Possibly after COVID, people trying this out. We've had more. I think more than just virtual teaching. I just think special education in general sometimes just it's a very difficult, demanding job, so it can
Mhm.
burn people out.
Yeah.
So more than that, but yeah, I've had some very good word of mouth. So some of them may have worked at another virtual school and have gotten the word about what it is to work here.
Mhm.
And then they come on over here. So we've had a lot more of those who used to work at a different school and want to come here for, whatever reasons that might be. So
That's nice. Yeah. Work-life balance. Work-life balance.
for
That's a
sure.
big that's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time. And
Yeah.
for us it's like special education and as speech language pathologists are 99% female, and we are the ones that have the babies. And so having that ability, we have a lot of moms, that want to be able to be done at 3 so that they can go and see their child's sporting event or whatever, or only work part-time or whatever. Virtual services gives them the opportunity, especially with a company that like ours, where it's like, we need a commitment from you, but that doesn't mean you have to work 40 hours a week, and it doesn't mean you have to see 100 kids while you're trying to do that. So, having that balance is really, really good and really important. Um, one last question for you both. So if you could just fix one thing, and it can't be money, not money. Um, Fix one thing in your world as a director of special education, and never have to worry about it again. It's just miraculously gone. You never have to think about it again. What would that one? It's a tough question, I know. What would that one? Aaron's going, oh, I don't know. Well, I know there's lots, but what would that? Just pick one. What would that one thing be?
um, Okay, I think for me at the moment, and I'm primarily high school. We
Okay.
have to divide up duties here,
Sure.
obviously. So in my world, I think I wish there was a way that I had the magic answer to engage all of these high school kids that maybe choose to come here as their last resort. And we do lots of engagement here, but if we could just show them, just stick it out with the support that we have here. You
Mhm.
can make it. You can do it. You will get your high school diploma, and then, you can do what you need to do uh, after you get that in your hand. I wish I had that magic formula. We're getting better at it, but that's
Awesome.
what I personally would like to fix, and that would be fantastic.
Yeah. That's a great, great answer. Okay, Erin, your
My
turn.
gosh. Well, I mean, yeah, that's a really difficult question to answer. I would probably piggyback off of Rekha's response. I sit in mostly the middle school meetings, but help oversee our K-8 teams. And I would say if we could fix that engagement piece, where we
Mhm.
could get all students to attend the live classes with the teachers all the time, there's some outside barriers that we don't have that, control over all the time. So I think if the students, had that availability to be, with us when we are here live in all of our classes, that engagement piece is something that we're always striving to improve and figure out ways to make sure that students feel most comfortable, families feel most comfortable, to be here and to allow us that constant opportunity to provide the support that they need.
And I
Yeah.
think Aaron said that too. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
It's
you're fine.
because they chose us.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why we know we can help. We all do, not just in
Mhm.
the sped world. So give us that chance, learn to trust again, because sometimes that has
Been broken. Yeah.
Broken.
something has
Yeah.
happened, right?
Mhm.
Um, and that's why it is a top down approach here
Mhm.
to engage and keep kids here. And that's what we do. And that's why we're passionate about um, virtual learning. It can work.
Mhm.
give
Yeah,
us a
absolutely.
chance. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've said that too. It's like kids aren't going to get better if they're not coming to therapy. Kids aren't going to learn if they're not coming to school, right? You got to get them there. So those are great answers. Thank you so much. Well, Rika and Erin, it has been such a pleasure to have such an engaging conversation. Where do people go to learn a little bit more about Ohio Connections Academy? And if they have questions, who do they ask those questions to?
Yeah, they can go to connectionsacademy.com and they can filter to the state of Ohio, which will
Okay.
then definitely bring up our school and all the important people, so to speak. If they want to talk directly to special ed, our name is out there, our number is out there. They even provide emails so they can
Okay.
get to us that way as
Oh,
well. So that
awesome.
would be the best place to go,
Okay.
connectionsacademy.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, for taking the time. I appreciate your time immensely. Keep doing what you're doing. I love it. And just because we're brighter together. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.